ladies and gentlemen, it's not often that you get, it's not often that you get a hot star, a rock star, and a superstar on stage. Please, I'm actually not going to ask too many questions. I'm going to let them do the talking because there's a couple of interesting stories we discovered about this. That Arnab considers Uday to be his guru and elder brother in the lead up to this. And that Arnab and Imtiaz were next to each other in college, literally next door to each other, right, in college hostel. And they had a third person they don't want to name really, but you can ask them that directly. So I'm really going to let the three of them talk. But there's one question finally that came, Imtiaz, that we will start with, which came from the group. You're a powerful voice and opinion maker who happens to hail from the minority community in India. From that perspective, can you share with us your hopes, worries, and ambitions for Indians? I don't even know whether you look at yourself that way, but that's the question.
Is my mic on? Before I was asked this question, I didn't realize it. It's only when somebody brings it up. I've been to many countries which have a majority of Muslims. I don't think it can get easier for me to live in any other country but this one. That one, sorry, India. And that is for sure, and I'm not saying this for your applause, it's for sure. Sorry.
Thank you, Suresh. This seems like an impossible assignment. Suresh wants all three of us to chat with Arnab in the middle. Has that ever happened? But we'll give it a shot. Right, Imtiaz?
We'll try.
Okay. Now, Arnab, just some house rules. First of all, you must realize a few things. This is not Times Now. And the time is 4 o'clock, not 9 o'clock. We are panelists, but you've not invited us. Suresh has. So you cannot shut us up. And at some stage, I have a flight to catch.
They've even switched my mic off.
This is what he does to his panelists, okay? No, but thank you very much. It's, these are two people. I didn't know when I was invited that I would get to share the dais with them. In very different ways, these are two people who I'm extremely fond of, and I admire them enormously. I think many of you, each one of you here will have some views on what they do, and funnily enough, they've chosen careers. Imtiaz as a filmmaker and Arnab as a journalist. These are two careers where everybody has a view. What you've done right and what you've done wrong. Usually, what you've not done right is what people think. But if I were to say one thing about them, applies a lot more, it takes a lot more courage to say that for Arnab Goswami, but I will still say this. I've said this in the past also, that there are days when I disagree with Arnab, there are days when I get angry with him, there are days when I get really angry with him. But is there a single day when I ever think that India would have been better off without Arnab? The answer is a firm no. Because it is the diversity of the Arnabs and Imtiaz Alis that makes India what it is. And as a media person, the one thing I'm more committed to than anything else is to preserve that diversity. And that's why it's a privilege to be with them here. Arnab, now over to you.
Mike?
His mic is actually not working.
It's a conspiracy.
Let me just ask a question. And you know this, that in India, smaller people have been killed for this, for having the courage to ask a question of Arnab Goswami. He alone has been given the right by the nation to ask questions. Of course, the nation has also given him the right to answer those questions.
Arnab.
But on a serious note, Arnab, how do you handle criticism when you are told that you're not doing this right? I have not attended a single dinner in the last couple of years where people have not discussed Arnab Goswami. how do you handle criticism about what you're doing and what's not right about what you're doing?
Okay, so, man,
Do you realize my importance? Even Arnab seeks my permission.
see, first of all, I'm not returning the compliment. I don't return compliments, but I really like Uday. He knows that one of the reasons I'm here in Singapore today is because of him. He's the guy who started private television news before he took on Star. So if there's someone who made Aaj Tak what it has become, it is Uday Shankar. So, I should be asking the questions. Okay, so what was the question? No, sorry, pulling your leg.
You really
Yeah,
cannot
about the
listen well.
criticism part, I'd say one thing. My mind today goes back to 1991, right? And I was in room number 88 of Hindu College Hostel. In the first year, second year, sociology honors. And Imtiaz was in room number 87.
Yeah.
No. First was 28, so you were in the room below.
Yeah.
Umar Shankar, then you had someone else.
I had Bala and we
Yeah.
were in 91.
Yeah, so there was this, we were in adjacent rooms, same batch, same college, just the lavatory entrance dividing us. And here we are today, And sometimes a sense of deja vu comes, like you meet after 23, 24 years,
Yeah.
as you and I are meeting today. Sometimes I met him on a flight and we are both too spaced out, sort of grunt at each other and then move on. But then, let me ask a deeper question. We are talking about disruption. What were we meant to do in our life is not something we ever decide, Uday. I didn't, I think, plan to be a journalist. And Imtiaz did not probably predecide. He was obsessed about films, but maybe not charted his career in the
Sure.
same way that it has happened today.
Not at all.
But I think we experienced our country a little bit. And I can say this much, that we experienced it where we were a little bit more than others, because we were in Hindu college, the anti-establishment college. And when we entered college, we were divided by mandal. The moment you enter college, and I had a surname of Goswami, and after the immolation, I think of Rajiv Goswami, to be a Goswami, the only thing that you were told about is that you are a Brahmin. And you never realized till then what your caste was. And I remember coming back on bikes after watching a film at Chanakya Cinema in December 1992, and we were stopped, and people said, "Where are you coming from?" And he has long hair now. Then he used to wear bandanas like this. And since he was the fashion icon, watching him, we also used to wear bandanas. So we were wearing bandanas and on bikes, and people stopped us in Chandni Chowk area, "Where are you coming from?" And we said, "Coming from seeing a film. We are from North Campus." They said that, you should not be here because this Babri Masjid has been demolished. So our generation, and I know that a lot of people from our generation were a little taken aback. As 17, 18-year-olds, you don't quite fathom what's happening around you. But in the honesty of Imtiaz's reply, that till today he never realized. So it's not, we don't wear it on our sleeve, but we experienced our country, and we experienced our Indianness, Uday, in a very deep sense. So I think there is an attachment to where we come from. And therefore, in different ways, whether through cinema, as he's doing, or whether through journalism that I am doing, there is a sense of, sharing. So when we are talking about disruption, we are now in our 40s. When we talk about disruption, we are remembering what we were when we were teenagers.
Sure.
And we want to change things. And our generation doesn't want to do things the way, because we are the children of the 90s. We don't want to do things the way it was done 10 or 15 or 20 years earlier. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Are you looking at me?
No,
and
no. No, but I don't think I've answered your question. But in some sense, what we are doing today is a correction of the way things were. Now, he talks about disruption in a way of cinema. Maybe he's responding to the cinema he saw in the 90s. When I'm responding to politics and caste and religion and issues that come up around me, I'm responding to it with the sense of urgency that I felt when I saw Babri Masjid happening as an 18-year-old, or the way I saw politicians in our country using caste and religion to just divide people. So my response to JNU, right, or my response to a Rohit Vemula incident keeps my own personal experiences in the backdrop. Yeah.
That Indianness that you talked about, this is a question for both of you. Maybe, Imtiaz, you can start. Is that Indianness under assault in some ways? Is it threatened?
I don't know. I don't feel it personally. I know that since Arnab was talking about disruptions, there are a lot of disruptions right now. There a lot of times you feel that am I being threatened, etc. Anybody, I'm not talking about myself per se. But did you, as far as Indianness is concerned, it is as much or as little as a threat as it always was. That's what my answer is. I don't feel the threat because I don't feel the threat. I will never feel the threat. There will be some incidents where a certain person from a certain community will be in majority or minority. These things will keep happening. But then, unless I feel insecure about it, I'll never be thinking that I'm being assaulted somehow.
No.
That's my feeling.
Yeah, I don't think so. In fact, I think that, what we are experiencing in India today can only be experienced in a great democracy. A great democracy. And as, I just want to share, this happened 2 hours back, Uday. We were talking earlier when I spoke about the Shani Shignapur shrine. I don't know if you know it, but there's a shrine, you may have followed the story, where women are not allowed into the sanctum sanctorum. Even the courts have not been able to allow it. 3 hours back, a group of 50 men, 3 hours back, group of 50 men forced their way into the sanctum sanctorum of the Shani Shignapur shrine. And as of now, as of this minute, a 27-year-old lady called Trupti Desai with a group of women are on buses to enter the Shani Shignapur temple. They are saying, let us say who stops us this time. If the men can enter, we can enter as well. Now, something like that is Indianness for me. So I'm not a cribber. I don't keep complaining and whining, this is wrong about my country, that is wrong, because the forces of change that I am seeing unleashed in 2016 are exactly the forces of change when we were in college. Had these forces of change been happening, then I can tell you Mandal and Masjid would not have happened. So in a sense, I don't know how you look upon it today, but I think I'm very positive about these forces of change that are happening in our country. Uday?
So one of the questions really for you as well, Uday, is the young generation and the way they consume media and what they're doing. Does TV being risk a medium only for the 30 plus? Is it all completely changing? And I guess therefore, also from there, how do you see content, movie, news changing if you're all going digital? How does that change happen? Are you going to see more short content, all this kind of things? Is it the 30-minute serial, the 2-hour movie, is all that going to change?
So, first of all, this expression TV is a bit of a misnomer. It is like describing a car as an internal combustion engine. It's just the technology or just the device on which content is consumed. And it was very relevant and it worked fine as long as there were no alternative media to deliver or experience that same content. Now that there is a handheld device, there is a computer, there is a tablet, then suddenly this TV as a category is a bit misleading, because people don't watch TV, even though they say they are watching TV, they're watching content. And I think TV in some form or the other will have to change. But one, the big screen experience, where that this small mini theater that all of us create in our living rooms with the help of TV, and now with the quality of sound and picture all going up, that will remain. I think because the big screen gratification is something that's totally transformational, enchanting. And the second thing is content. The power of content, if anything we are seeing, is going to get bigger and bigger. And I think we do a huge disservice to the younger generation when we say that they're only going to be able to going to put up with short form content. That's not the case. Look at what's happening. We used to actually feed them drips of 30 minutes, 22 minutes, 1 hour, and now actually binge consumption is happening more and more. So if the content is compelling, if it's relevant, it's powerful, if it matters to them, they would sit and watch a 1-hour interview that Arnab Goswami is doing, and they would watch a 13-hour drama that has been uploaded on the right entertainment platform. So it's coming back to, are you saying things, are you telling the stories, and are you using the metaphors that have the credibility and that has the power to engage with them? But if you don't, they have no time.
Yeah, but Uday, I think since you are in a very powerful position, and so is my friend Imtiaz, I think where there is a gap is that we are not addressing hard issues in our movies and in our television. Pardon my saying so. Outside of news space,
I'm going to try to stop you there and ask him to say, is that true? Does he feel it?
No, let him
I'm the
continue.
guy who
I
stopped
think
Arnab. No,
I think,
no, no, no. See,
Please go ahead.
I want someone like Imtiaz to make. If he makes given our own experiences, if a movie were to be made, for example, by Imti or by by Uday or anyone about what happened during the Mandal Commission agitation, was it engineered? We have not made hard movies on hard political subjects. We want to see the JFK kind of film being made in India. And I believe that there are enough subjects, difficult subjects, where you will have to confront political establishment if required, where you deal with these hard realities. And I think that there is an audience out there which you can amplify and be the agent of change if you do that.
What's your take on that?
I agree with him. Also, I have this grouse with the middleman in this case.
Yeah.
There are many of us, there are many movie makers who would like to and who very often write scripts and want to make movies that are that challenge something, that are a little, you got to think about them. Like he's saying, hard hitting, that'll make you think. But usually, although we know that that people are interested to watch it, but the people who have the money and the distribution do not agree to bring them into reality. So we have to put those in the back burner and make other things. So that also happens. And when one of them does release or is at the anvil of release, then there is so much censorship and there is so much trouble that we also face from various people,
But I mean, Imtiaz, just one sentence. If today, a Bandit Queen was made, more than 20 years back, right? So if there is Bandit Queen, for kind of film, that kind of film made on a different subject, in an even more impactful manner, with a great cast, I mean, I think we are a minefield of subjects we can pick on. I just said this because I think that you are in a position to define that audience.
No, but sorry, I'm so sorry, Uday. But Arnab, let me ask you, many years back, Ghalib wrote poetry, right? And he wrote a line, let's say like, खुदा के वास्ते काबे से पर्दा ना हटा गालिब कहीं ऐसा ना हो यहाँ भी वही काफिर सनम निकले. Do you think anybody can write that right now and get away with it?
Yeah.
It's not possible.
No, you can. Because, because you see, it depends on what audience you distribute it through. I think you'll never know till you tried, Imtiaz.
Yeah, that's...
That's what I think. Like...
But also what is happening is that, there was a recent movie, a Persian movie that A.R. Rahman gave music for, and there was some organization sent a fatwa against him.
I know.
So, some people do try.
Okay.
So, Uday, I think this is a question, maybe I'm just riffing.
No, sorry,
from that.
Uday was saying
Couple of
something.
questions.
I'm very sorry.
Can I just say something? I agree with, the optimism. I mean, I hope the optimism of Arnab is absolutely right. But I worry sometimes because, the other day someone told me, used an expression which I think is very disturbing but very relevant, is that there's a part of the country where this lynch mob mentality is gaining ground. And this lynch mob mentality doesn't get segregated along conventional lines. Anything, if people see a movie and they have a right to criticize and express outrage, that's totally fine. They have a right. The problem is that everybody who goes to protest against a movie, you can put your money on that has not seen the movie. Those who oppose a book have not read the book. Those who stand up and start shouting slogans they don't even know what has happened.
Yeah. True.
And it is this kind of lynch and a summary trial that is a cause of concern. And it does begin to create disincentives towards diversity.
But I think I think the entertainment and media industry gives up too early with respect to that, because what defines who is minority and who is majority in our country? We broadcast out of Mumbai, and when Sudhindra Kulkarni's face was blackened, the way we went after the Shiva Sena, I am very proud to say that we cornered and isolated the Shiva Sena in the city of Mumbai. And we did it. And the Shiva Sena had to backtrack, and we took them on. We didn't take them on sitting and broadcasting from Lakshadweep. We sat in Lower Parel and called the Shiva Sena names for what they had done. So I think the media and entertainment industry has the power to stand up, Uday, because you may be underestimating your own influence. You know, you reach a large audience. If my show reaches 15 to 20 million, your movies reach many, many more times that number. So as I said to Imtiaz, people are craving for this, and I think the time has now come to, we are at that inflection point, I think.
So, gentlemen, we have about 7 or 8 more minutes, and we have 4 questions, so please stop sending. I already have too many questions. Arnab and Imtiaz are going to be outside doing a meet and greet, so, you know, they'll hopefully, Uday has got a flight to catch, they'll hopefully answer a few more questions. But I'm going to ask all the 4 questions and then let you answer because some of them are related. One of them is, it is surprising to see mighty Arnab go meek in calling out the threat to the idea of India. Does a clarion call from an elected representative that if no Bharat Mata ki jail, then leave India, is this not a threat? And I'm going to finish all the questions. Somewhat related, as the electronic media made everything so niche and small and like fragmented that we don't have grand leaders, grand heroes, grand brands as they were in earlier days. This is a very interesting one. All of you cater to the 30% of the country. What about the other 70% and what is their expectation of the new India? And I think a very important thing with 4 men on stage. Film and media have many women who are actors, singers and dancers, but women are highly underrepresented as directors, producers, writers, storytellers. So I'll leave you with those 4 questions. I'll leave you to kind of do that. We have about 7 or 8 minutes.
Let Uday go first, please.
So I'll only like to respond to the question, to the idea that we represent or we cater to only 30% of the country. That could not be farther from the truth, because the dissemination of idea doesn't work in a linear fashion. When you go and infect or seed the thought in a individual's mind, it doesn't stay limited to that person. It goes further down. And I'll give you an example. Earlier this year, last year, I was traveling during Bihar elections through the interiors of Bihar. And this is, it doesn't get more backward in the conventional sense than the countryside of North Bihar, in the Kosi belt. There is not a single village that I went to where people had not heard of the latest developments around news. People were even telling us when we were asking them questions. They had a fairly informed discourse or point of view on what was wrong with the BJP government and what was wrong with the JDU government. How did they perceive Nitish Kumar and how did they perceive Prime Minister Narendra Modi? And all of that was coming on the back of information that they were getting from the media. So the ways in which media goes to people, it's not limited to only the people who subscribe to cable and satellite. Even on facts, that number is way beyond 30%. Today, television penetration is about 60% of the total number of households in the country. So I don't think we represent such a minority, or we address ourselves to such a small minority, and the cascading impact of the ideas. And that is why, friends, you should realize that the establishment is always paranoid about containing. If we represented, or if our influence was limited to 30%, they could easily ignore us. The establishment is concerned only because they know that the cascading impact is way more than that.
And about women, Uday, I'd like your point as a senior business leader about the point about women.
I think what you see in media is merely a reflection of what's the situation in the society. However, compared to most other sectors, I think the media acquits itself much better. I think in news media today, the representation of women is very, very high. In entertainment, in television entertainment segment, it's a very high number. For instance, in our company, in Star, that number is close to 40%, the total number of women, and including women in very senior positions, is close to 40%. I think in the film world also, both stories around women or stories of women and participation of women is changing dramatically. But it's a legacy of hundreds of years, and it will take time, and it will only move or the disruption would be only as fast as the rest of the country goes through the disruption.
Arnab, your take on the question about if no Bharat Mata ki jai, then leave India. Is that not a threat? There was apparently a clarion call from an elected representative that if no Bharat Mata ki Jai, then leave India. Is this not a threat to the idea of India?
So I think, you know, we've unfortunately got stuck in this Bharat Mata Ki Jai debate, as if there are no other issues in this country. I mean, I find there nothing, you know, we're stuck in this binary. Do you say Bharat Mata Ki Jai or do you not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai? If you say Bharat Mata Ki Jai, it's good, but there's nothing heroic about it. Equally, there is nothing heroic about saying, I will not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai, even if you put a gun to my head, etc. See, both these sides are trying to distract the attention of this country from the real issues. And I think it's a very convenient trap that sometimes that we in the media also fall in for. I've realized it, and I personally have refused to be drawn into this binary debate any longer, because I think there are many fundamental issues in this country to look at and to report. I mean, in a country today, and yesterday on my show, I showed 4 glasses of water. And I said 1.5 liters of water is what an average person gets in Latur, with which he will brush his teeth, he will do his ablutions, he will have a bath, he will drink, and he will survive. 1.5 liters of water is what an average Indian in Latur is getting today. And we, therefore, have no ethical or moral right to distract the country into a debate of will you say Bharat Mata Ki Jai or will you not say Bharat Mata Ki Jai? That's my response.
And actually,
Well said.
actually that distraction is by design very often in order to force and create and perpetuate fake discourses so that the real discourses do not get the time.
Yeah, I agree with
True,
you.
absolutely. And Imtiaz, I'm going to end because our time is up. Love. You're an expert on making movies on love. Tell us your story. Give us a message about that. It's a hard question, but you'll figure it out. You're a content guy.
It's a very easy question. It has many answers.
Please.
To begin with, I'd like to actually agree with what the two gentlemen said about the topic of Bharat Mata Ki Jai. And very importantly, I think that there has to be a way of reaching it out to more and more people. The fact that the real issue is very often being circumvented and the real discourse is hidden. And I try to say it in a way in movies that, as he was saying, that it has an impact much beyond just the visual of a film. I'm very fortunate that I'm making movies, I feel, because people do not know that there is any mission to this. They don't see an Arnab Goswami talking directly about a particular problem. It goes with a certain sense of subtlety. You know, in a way, more people pick up smoking by looking at actors smoking rather than by brands advertising cigarettes. So I do understand that making movies is a very powerful way of influencing people because they don't even know that they are being influenced. And therefore, the love with which I am making those movies becomes very important. And because I'm in the august gathering of very intelligent people, I can express it over here. But I do feel that whether it is any one of us or anyone sitting over here, I do feel that it is easy to say it, but I do know that love is the only answer.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, ये तो शुभ काम भी हो गया आपका. So love is the only answer, and the question may vary.
Thank you. On that very inspiring note, ladies and gentlemen, time's up. Thank you very much to all three of you. Uday, fantastic. Thank you very much. Arnab.
Thank you so much.
And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, 2 hours of wonderful content, wonderful insight, wonderful entertainment. Once again, let's give them a standing ovation. Arnab, Uday, and Imtiaz.